We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity for business owners and employees. And we're doing another podcast on, I think, really values that every business owner, every company is looking for. So we talked about work ethic. So hopefully when you went through that podcast, you didn't just go ahead and watch it and say, oh, that's nice. Hopefully you didn't say, yeah, I think I'm a pretty hard worker. Hopefully that's not your responses. Hopefully you're like, I learned something. I can be more. Then we went through, dedication. And so again, the same thing. If we're saying, I'm pretty dedicated, like if we're happy with where we're at, we're not going to change. If we think we're pretty good with these things, that's not going to happen. And that's where the next dimension comes in. And so hopefully you benefited from that to say, I am a hard worker, but how do I get even harder? Not just physical, but mental, emotional, relational, all of that. I am dedicated, but how do I take it to the next dimension? And today's we're going to be talking about commitment. And each one of the four personalities are committed, but they're committed in a very different way. And so the analytic is committed, the cube and out of order, if you chose these. The analytic is committed to making sure things are done right. So everything's done right. The driver personality, they're committed that it's got to done fast. And if they're analytic or driver analytic, then fast and perfect. They're committed to being flawless. They're committed to always exceeding, always doing better, always expecting more, hopefully of themselves first and then other people. The expressive, they're committed to fun and excitement. We're all going to be, this is a great place to work, and man, is this fun. And the amiable is very, very committed to harmony. Each of these areas can be overcommitted, and that can hurt us all. And there's going to be another lesson we'll do on internalization. And so if we look at this and say, oh, I understand it, like I'm committed, it's like when I say to myself, Mark, you're really committed, I just catch myself saying, am I? Like, am I? And Fred's smiling. So the reason he's smiling is because he has the same thought process. I mean, he thinks the same way. So he and I are going to see, because we're similar personalities, we're going to see the world in a similar way. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. It doesn't mean it's right. It just means he and I have found that, to get what you want in life, if you do these things, it seems like you often get what you want in life. If you don't do these things, it's not going to. Patty, let's start with you today. Like, what is your thoughts on commitment? What's important to you for personal commitment? Maybe some childhood experiences that you were taught commitment, or, with employees, team members. Your thoughts on commitment, Patty?
I feel like with commitment, you need to buy into the objectives of what you're committing to. So whether it be your marriage, you're committing to your marriage, you believe that that's how you want your life to go. You want to be with this person for the rest of your life. You're going to make sacrifices to get to that end goal. And with our firm, I would like our employees to have the same objectives to us. We want to service our clients. We want a good work-life balance. And then these are the steps that we need to make to get to that goal. And we all need to understand that there's going to be sacrifices we're all going to be asked to make. But if we have committed and we've agreed that that's where we want to end up, those sacrifices will make sense to us and they're going to be worth it.
I love that. And I'm sure Patty doesn't have this in her marriage. I've been married, we're celebrating our 40th this year. But in my marriage, there's times I don't really feel like I want to serve my wife or even be around her or do something. I'm guessing that's not. So often feelings, if we allow our feelings to control us versus our discipline or our thinking to control. So commitment isn't doing often. Commitment kicks in when our feelings aren't there. Like when I don't feel like a lot of things in a marriage or work or anything, I still do it because that's a commitment. And so if you're feeling good about something and you're doing it, that doesn't really test your commitment or our commitment, does it? It's when we feel that we want to give up, we don't want to work, we're tired, we're exhausted, we feel that maybe our coworkers or we feel the owners or we feel our clients, aren't treating us well. Commitment takes us over and above our feelings in a huge way. Fred, I love that, Patty. Fred, your thoughts on commitment?
Well, I think just from the time I was a kid, growing up, there are things that maybe you want to join a group or a league or baseball, whatever it might be. So you commit to it so that you've got to play out the whole season, and maybe you get tired, you don't want to do it, or something more fun comes up. And your parents say, no, you can't do this other thing. You've committed to doing this. So, I think a lot of people in my generation learned that as they grew up. I'm not so certain that that's being taught as frequently as it used to be. But from when I was a young child, that's what that's how I learned it. And when it comes to a firm, we're all need to be committed to be successful. We need to commit to the job and the responsibilities, understanding that it's not always going to be fun, but to accomplish the goal, the end result that we're working for, we all have to do our jobs. And that's really what being committed means to me, is doing your job, and there'll be good days and bad days.
Nice. Man, that triggered so many thoughts. If your parents let you quit things when you didn't like doing it, I'm sure they were being the best parents they could to you. I'm not criticizing your parents. I'm just saying in the real world, that's not going to serve you well. It's just not. And so if you have a pattern of when you start something, you finish it, you don't ever quit. So my parents were the same thing. Doesn't matter what you feel, doesn't matter. You commit it, you follow through with it. I love that. Elise, your thoughts on commitment?
I don't know that I could say anything else other than what's been said. I think in many generations, not every person, but it is lacking the ability to dig deep when the going gets tough, or you would rather do something else, and to continue on. And in every aspect of your life, there is so much benefit to be found when you continue pushing forward through what's hard, whether that's, in a personal or professional setting. And I think professionally, when you have a team that's willing to do that, what you can uncover together, what you can accomplish together, and when you get to the other side of that challenge is wonderful, if we all pull through. So I think just being able to really keep that perspective, to demonstrate it, and to feel that camaraderie when you're in the midst of that difficult thing is really important. So
I feel like, but I won't go with my feelings. I feel like I should have Elise share some of the things she's going through. She would probably start crying. That's not why I love to see her cry. It's fine. But I would probably start crying. And so I'm not sure how good that would go. Like, it's just like when you do, like, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. It was interesting because my wife sent me this email this morning, and she said Bill Gates was invited to a high school to give a lecture. He arrived by helicopter, took a paper from the pocket where he had written 11 items. He read everything in less than 5 minutes, was applauded for more than 10 minutes nonstop, thanked him, and left in his helicopter. What was written is very interesting. Number one, life isn't easy. Get used to it. Number two, the world is not concerned about your self-esteem. The world expects you to do something useful before you feel good about yourself. A former cleaning lady became a chef and fulfills her dream of having her own organic restaurant. True story. Simple but powerful gesture of kindness from a CEO. You will not earn $20,000 a month once you leave school. You won't be a vice president of a company with a car and a phone available until you've managed to buy your own car and your own phone. Number 4, if you find your teacher rude, wait until you have a boss. He will not feel sorry for you. Number 5, selling old newspapers or working while on vacation is not beneath your social standing. Your grandparents have a very different word for it. They called it opportunity. Number 6, if you fail, it's not your parents' fault, or your grandparents, or your wife, or husband, or your boss, or your father-in-law or mother. I'm just saying, it's not their fault. Sorry, I added that. Let's see. It's not. So do not whine about your mistakes. Learn from them. Number 7. Before you were born, your parents weren't as critical as they are now. They only got that way from paying your bills, washing your clothes, and hearing you say they're ridiculous. So before saving the planet for the next generation, wanting to fix your mistakes or your parents' generation, try cleaning your own room. Number 8. Your school may have blurred the distinction between winners and losers, but life isn't like that. In some schools, you don't repeat more than a year and you have as many chances as you need to get it right. This looks like absolutely nothing, all emphasized, in real life. If you step on the ball, you're fired. Do it right the first time. Number 9, life is not divided into semesters. You won't always have summers off, and it's unlikely that other employees will help you with your task at the end of each term. Number 10, television is not real life. People have to leave the bar or the club and go to work. Number 11, be nice to the CDF, the students that others think, I'm just quoting what he says. The students that others think are assholes. There's a high probability you will work for one of them. So know these things and know peace. I come in peace. So, there's a lot of wisdom to that. And so again, if you reflex when you listen to this, when you go through this podcast, if you roll your eyes, I don't know what to say. I just feel bad for you. I just feel bad for you. If you say, oh, I get that. Oh, I understand that. Yeah, no, I'm committed. Okay. We'll see. It's going to happen. Anything else that any of you have on thoughts on commitment? Okay. The next one is going to be leadership. The next one's going to be leadership, and the next one after that's going to be problem solving. Now, you might think I'm not a leader. We're all leaders. Every one of us are leaders. There's so many other, these are not like 5, and then you can, okay, I got them. For my children, my 7 children, I spent 3 years studying all the values that I wanted them to have. There were over 107 values that I said, this is important for all of my kids to have these values. And we sought to teach them in a very systematic way. Some would say, you guys have done a really good job, Mark. I might have a little higher expectation. I don't know. I'd say, I don't know. It seems like some of them, even as adults, are struggling with some of the values that I thought were very clear. So talk about this with your peers. Talk about this with the owners of your company. Don't be afraid to ask the owners of your company or your manager, whoever you're reporting to, like 1 to 10, how would you rate, my work ethic? And then you always say this, or any of these values, ask them and then say this, and if it's a 2, it's okay. So guaranteed, when I tell people that, I say to my wife quite frequently, 1 to 10, how am I doing as a husband? And if it's a 2, it's okay. It just is what it is. And then I ask her, so what's one thing you like about me as a husband? So I can keep doing that. So I can learn, even after 39 years of marriage, still learning. And then what's one thing I could do to improve? Those things will give you so much success, not only career-wise, but in a marriage. And if somebody gives you a 2 or 3, don't be a whiner. So I can almost guarantee you, if you don't do this to the people around you, all the people around you, if you don't do this, they're seeing and thinking things about you that they're probably afraid of telling you, or they just don't honestly want to deal with the drama. So seek input. Those type of things will help you for sure. Talk to your mentor, your 2 ARC buddies. If you have any questions, connect with your Action Vision coach. They can help you for sure. And then share this with others, right? I mean, this isn't just for us, it's for other people, our children, our parents, our grandparents, neighbors, clients, anybody. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate as well, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300 outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.